Maranatha, and good morning. And it is very early in the morning, yes, indeed. And this is part 111 of Random Bible Lessons. And this is May the 29th, 2025 by man's calendar. And I want to get right on back into this word. Still talking, trying to get the point across about how we are not to waver and how we are to be set and devout in what we believe. It's not faith if you don't believe the Lord. And see, Abraham, by faith, he pleased the Lord. And he did that by believing God and trusting Him when He asked him to give up Isaac, whom God had given him. He trusted the Lord that He was going to provide a different sacrifice once he got there. He trusted the Lord to love him enough to give him something different. And the Lord did. The Lord did. And I fully believe in a God of restore. So if you have lost, sorry about the lighting, if you have lost things out of your life, if God removed things from you that was hurting you, be grateful for that, for one thing. For another, be expecting God to restore something better that will bless you. That's what you need to expect. God's clearing the junk out so there'll be room for the blessings. Don't get upset because He removes things, but praise Him for it, because that means He's getting ready to give you something that will bless you if you're truly His. All things work to the greater good to them who love the Lord and who are called according to His purpose. I know that I am called according to His purpose, so I know that all things are working for my good, even though I can't see it yet. I know that they are. Jesus is teaching me every day, and He's building my faith every day, and He's helping me be patient and to wait upon Him every day. And it takes a great deal of resistance not to be wrathful. Where I work with people, and many of whom have a contrite spirit. or many of whom have a vexing spirit, who want to do things just to get under your skin if they can. And it seems like every day there is some sort of spiritual battle with people like this these days, because people's love has grown cold. And so it is just really hard. But then there's those really great moments when you meet really sweet people, really kind people, and they help you go another mile just by kind words they say or actions they do to help others. It makes you stop and say, hey, the Lord still has a few people in this place. We need to see these things sometimes so that our heart can rejoice. Anyways, I want to get on back in here to James 2. And the Lord certainly has a reason for these things. So we have to follow it through to see what that is. And this particular section here has a personal thing with me. It resonates with me, these next few verses. Because when I was a teenager, I got to see this kind of firsthand at an evangelist, a TV preacher. I didn't care for him. I didn't really watch him. But my dad did. And one of them came to our area. And Daddy wanted to go see him, so we went. And these verses really came to life to me. And when I read them, I think back on that. And I think, Jesus, you show me this in real time. And I knew then there was something wrong with it, even if I hadn't read this yet. But now here I am reading this. And I have that example of what not to do to go by. But anyways, getting on into this so you can better understand what I'm talking about. My brethren, have not faith in our Lord Jesus Christ, the Lord of glory, with respect of persons. That is the very first verse in chapter 2 of James. Tells us right there not to have respect of persons. We're not supposed to do anything by partiality. That's what I have said in previous posts, previous videos here the last little while. In fact, I think I said that yesterday in one of the parts where I was talking about the different denominations, that we do nothing by partiality. And I was trying to make a point. If you're going to entreat one, you have to entreat them all. Anyways, going on. For if there come, now here's the part I was talking about, that the Lord let me see and witness when I was a teenager, which totally broke my heart with evangelists completely. I won't lie. But it opened my eyes to the truth that these mega preachers are not after anything but, in fact, they're stealing from God. We'll get more into that as we go forth. For if there come into your assembly a man with a gold ring, in goodly apparel, and there come in also a man in vile raiment. There come in also a poor man in vile raiment, and ye have respect to him that weareth the gay clothing, and say unto him, Sit thou here in a good place, and say to the poor, Stand thou there, or sit here under my footstool. Are ye not then partial in yourselves, and are become judges of evil thoughts? Absolutely. And I saw that minister that I witnessed do this type of thing. His ushers did it, but still at his orders. Daddy always liked to dress up in his suits and be fancy. Always. And he had on his rings and whatnot. I was dressed up pretty good that evening to go to church with him. I didn't really care for the fact that it was a TV preacher, but I went just because it was church and because I didn't want Daddy to go to church alone. So I went with him, and I know that God had a hand in it so that he could teach me this, though. And there's this little man in front of us with his little daughter in the line waiting to be seated when we got there, and the ushers was standing at the door to greet him, and they sent him to what is called a spillover room. He still had on his work clothes and his muddy work boots and whatnot, and his little daughter was dirty and her hair was messed because she had been playing. And that little man was just excited to be there, to get to see this evangelist, someone that he apparently put faith in. And I never did myself, but especially after this happened. And I told Daddy, I said, where's he going? He said, they're sending him to a spillover room. I said, okay, they'll probably send us down there too then, because there was just the two of them, and they said they didn't have room. So there's just two of us. If they ain't got room for them two, they ain't got room for us. But when we got to the door, they ushered us right on in there. And as we walked across that room to our seats where the usher was leading us, I looked around and I noticed there were other open seats in there, lots of them, in different places. And I said to Dad when we got to our seats, there's plenty of room in here. Why didn't they bring that little man in here? And his daughter. And Dad said, look around the room. And I did. I said, I am. There's a lot of places they could sit. And Dad said, no, look at the people and how they're dressed. And see, Daddy had read this before, so he knew. And I hadn't really read it yet, but something in my heart just knew it was wrong. And I said, oh, because he was dirty from where he had been at work. They sent him to another room to watch it on TV. That man left work and come all the way here to get to meet this man in person and still got sent to a room to watch it on TV. How sad. That he put his faith in someone that wasn't Jesus, first off. And he didn't even know it, though. This little man was still very happy to be there. He went down that hallway with joy in his heart. And he didn't know what had just happened. But I did. And there was not joy in my heart because this thing had happened. Because this man had made that difference and not allowed that little man to come into the upper room with us. When he was every bit ingrained just as good as any of the rest of us. And my heart just kind of snapped and I was like, Jesus, things can't be this way. They can't be this way. And why would you hurt people that way? It's not like that rich man's going to give you something. Because you treat him better than you do the poor. In fact, the poor man is more likely to help you if you ever need him than those rich fellas. Think about that. And why? Because the poor man has been where you been there. He knows what it's like to need help. And so he's willing to offer it. Not always so with the rich. And a lot of times rich people get rich by doing things that are contrary to God to begin with to get the money. And that's what I mean when I say these mega churches are robbing God. They're using the Lord to get people to give them offerings and to pay tithes to them and different things to upkeep their rich and lavish lifestyles. And you know what? The world hears them. The world receives them, which shows you they're of the world. Because you know what? If they were not of the world, then the world would not hear them. The world would not understand them. And the world would not receive them. But the world does receive them, which shows us they are of the world. You know, they may have stuck that little man under their footstool. But if he remained with the Lord, one day he will stand in some of the greatest places, and he will not be put under a footstool anymore. And I pray that I'm there to see that happen, just like I was there to see the other thing happen. Because it's time for God's children to be raised up instead of pushed down. And then come to find out, though, I'm not even sure that that supposed evangelist was even in the name. And I didn't know that at the time that I went to see him. Of course, the Lord hadn't revealed all this other stuff to me either. But looking back on it now, I think, Lord, what was I even really doing there if this person was in a sin that way? Why did Daddy even want to go see him? What was we even doing there? But when you're a child and you don't know, that's one thing. Once the Lord has showed you something, you can't keep going back to it. Anyways, I'll see you in the next part, and we will get back into this book of James.